Let's talk about factor rating method. So this is basically so there are many factors. We have qualitative and quantitative method. In order you would like to consider on how you're going to choose your location. So some of these factors are much more important than the others. So managers can actually use weightings. Remember when we calculate the quality importance? So we actually use the same method, which is by weighting each of the components. But in this case, for location, we actually look into the components of location decision lah, whatever the decision is. So the factor rating method is one of the most popular because of there are wide variety of factors. So from education, recreation, labor skills, it can be objectively included. Next figure, we just look into the factor rating example by a company. Five Flags over Florida, a US chain of 10 family-oriented theme parks, which has decided to expand overseas by opening its first park in Europe. So it wished to select the best between France and Denmark. So all these six steps here, you can see first is to develop a list of relevant factors, which is called as the key success factors. Assign a weight to each factor and then develop a scale for each factor. Next is to score each location for each factor. The next thing to do is multiply score by weight for each factor and the total score for each location, and then make recommendation based on the highest point score. So for this case, the first thing is they actually develop a list of relevant. So this is the relevant factors, or this is the key success factors: labor availability and attitude, people to car ratio, per capita income, tax structure, and education and health. So these are the key success factors. The next thing to do is to assign weight. So you assign weight here. So you can see that this is actually 100%, but since it's going to put at it two decimal points, so you just use points lah. 0.25, 0.05, 0.10, 0.39, and 0.321. So depending on the weightage that you put as the importance of key success factor. So for this case, you can see text structure consists of about 39% importance, the highest importance among these five factors, followed by labor availability and attitude, per capita income, and the last one is the people to car ratio. And then the next thing they need to do is actually develop a scale, whatever the scale is, whether you want to use 1 to 10, 1 to 5, or 1 to 100. So in this case, they are using 1 to 100 score. So for each of the key success factors, and then they need to score 1 to 100 for different location out of 100. So 70 per 100, 60 over 100, 50 over 100, 60 over 100. So they score each of these factors to both countries lah. And then the next thing to do is to multiply the score by weight for each factor and total the score for each location. So 0.25 times 70 for France, and then 0.25 times 60 for Denmark. So you calculate all of these weightage for each key success factors, and then you sum up all the weighted scores for each country. And then in this case, the next thing to do is to conclude. So we can conclude that France is much higher. Higher meaning that they are better than, considered as better than Denmark. Another location decision is location cost volume analysis. So this is a technique for making an economic comparison of location. And then by identifying, one is you need to identify the fixed costs and also the variable costs for each location. The next step is to actually plot the costs for each location, and then select location with the lowest total cost for expected production volume. So this is one example where the company name Ismail Mohabi, the owner of European Ignitions Manufacturing, who needs to expand his capacity. So he's considering three locations. First is Athens, Brussels, and also Lisbon for his new plant. So the company wishes to find the most economical location for an expected volume of 2,000 units per year. So how we're going to do this is actually first, the approach is Mohabi conducts a locational cost analysis, and to do so, he determines that the fixed cost per year is at 30,000, 60,000, and 110,000 respectively. And this is the variable cost, which is $75, $45, and also $25 respectively. And the expected selling price for each ignition system produced is $120. So total cost is, yep, you need to find out this is the formula, which is total cost equivalent to fixed cost plus variable cost times the volume. Next thing is you need to identify the crossover for each location. So first we look into the crossover points between Athens and Brussels. If you recall that within the table, you can see that this is the crossover point. So 3000 plus 75x. So we're trying to find out the x value where will actually these two location um, meeting point. Yeah. So if you calculate this, 3000 3000 I'll move here, and then minus 60,000 minus 30,000, you'll get 30,000, and 75 times x minus 45 x, you get 30x here. And then final point is 30, you bring over here, so you got slash down to 1000, x equal to 1000. Between Athens and Brussels, the cross point is actually at 1000. Next is you compare between Brussels and Lisbon. So put up the equation. So the equation is 60,000 plus 45x, while Lisbon is 110,000 plus 25x. So trying to find out the value of x. So you move out this 60,000 to the other side, and then you minus, you get 50,000, and then 45x, you move 25x here to your left side, you will get 20x. So x equivalent to 200. So this is where the Brussels and Lisbon will meet up. So if you put it into the graph form, this is how it looks like. So if you draw, how to draw this curve is actually when you equivalent to 0, you will get where will be the starting point for each curves. So for example, Athens here, if x equal to 0, 75 times 0, so it begin with 30,000. So as you can see here, you get the starting point is 30,000, and then you try to put up, let's say, 2,000. Um, you put up into the equation of Athens, you will find the next point, and then you draw a straight line. Same to others as well. So for example, like Brussels, so you can see that Brussels is actually 60,000. The point beginning at 60,000. Why? Because when 60,000 plus 45 times 0, so 45 times 0 is 0. 60,000 will be the beginning point. So you see Brussels begin at 60,000, and then you find the same point or any points much larger than the next point, and then you get, let's say the point is here, so you just draw the straight line, and then the idea is to see where is um, the crossover point. So 1000 and 2500, so this should be where you cross between two different places. So Brussels and Athens will actually meet up at 1000, then Lisbon and Brussels will meet up at point 2500 volume. So this is volume, yeah. So in order to decide which one is the best, so if you can see here, whatever falls below here is actually the lowest cost lah. For example, for Athens here, this is the lower cost for 0 to 1000, which is for Athens, yeah. So for the next point is whatever fall behind this area, so we can see that Brussels is the lowest point, and next is the Lisbon will be the lowest cost if the production is more than 2500, because of the line here is the lowest. Others have actually exceeded the lowest line lah. So whoever fall within the lowest line, they are the best place for you to produce. Okay, the next thing is the next method of technique or mathematical technique used for finding the location of a distribution center. Distribution is actually the center of gravity method. So it finds the location of distribution center that minimizes your distribution cost. So a few things that you need to consider is the location of the markets, volume of goods shipped to the market, and also shipping costs. Okay, center of gravity methods is actually another mathematical technique other than weightage ataupun location cost volume analysis. So the methods takes into account the location of markets, the volume of goods shipped to those markets, and shipping costs in defining the best location for a distribution center. So the first step, okay, the first step is in the center in center of gravity method is to place the location on the coordinate system. So this will be illustrated here. So you place existing location on a coordinate grid. So grid origin and scale are arbitrary and maintain relative distances. Next is to calculate the x and y coordinates for center of gravity and assumes cost is directly proportional to distance and volume shipped. Macam bunyi dia. Okay, now this is the formulation. X coordinate of the center of gravity. You need to have the sum of observation of Q divided by QII. And Y coordinate, you use the Y as your observation and the quantities. So whereby X is coordinate of location I and Y is the coordinate of location I. And QI is the quantity of goods moved to or from location I. So this is the example in page 386. So this is the sample of company name Coins. So Coins discount department stores, a chain of 4 large target type outlets, has store location in Chicago, Pittsburgh, New York, and Atlanta. So they are currently being supplied out of an old and inadequate warehouse in Pittsburgh. So the site of the chain first store, the firm wants to find some central location in which to build their new warehouse. Okay, now we have the store location. Chicago, number of containers shipped per month is 2,000. Pittsburgh, 1,000. New York, 1,000. And Atlanta, 2,000. So in the current location, okay, now this is the center of gravity method. So you can see that. So usually they will actually provide you so the map lah or the coordinate of the each location. So for example, like this one, all of the um, place mentioned are being plotted in this graph or figure 8.3. So basically there are four location and each those are their plotted location. So this is actually the x coordinate and this is y coordinate lah. So if we recall back the previous slides, the way to calculate is actually x times q divided by q, sum of q lah, jumlah q, qii. So so x, this is all x. So you need to times with this. So different location. So x for Chicago berapa, x for Pittsburgh berapa times by the containers, and then up to Atlanta, and then we get this is how it looks like lah. So for each location, this is for the x coordinate, and then this is for their y coordinate. You'll get the you divide by the sum of all the quantity lah. 2,000, 1,000, 1,000, 2,000. You sum them all. So x coordinate bagi dengan the sum, you will get the center punya location for X coordinate and also for Y coordinate. So you can, if you plot down, it will actually located around this area. Kalau you put up a map of United States, you can actually see where it's actually located lah, with in that center of gravity. So it's actually it is actually located in Columbus, Ohio, or nearby city, which is considered as their appropriate location. So the most okay, so itu je. So this is how you calculate the center of gravity method. Okay, now let's continue with the next component, which is the service location strategy. Okay, so the major determinants of volume and revenue is the service location strategy lah. So first you need to look into the purchasing power of customer drawing area. Then the next thing is the service and image compatibility with demographics of the customer drawing area. Next is the competition in your area. And then okay, for service location strategy, if industrial sector is much more focused on how to actually reduce their costs or minimize the cost, but the focus for service sector is a bit different, where they are looking for how to maximize their revenue. Okay, and why? Because that manufacturing firms find that costs tend to be vary lah, so between different place among others, and so different location will definitely means that different costs. um, while service firms find that location often has more impact on revenue than cost. Okay, more if you change the place, you actually impact on your revenue, your income. So therefore, the location focus for service firms should be on determining the volume of customer and your revenue. So basically, there are eight major determinants of what determine the volume and revenue for service firms. First, we have the purchasing power of customer drawing area. So whether that place are much more dense with people who have high income, or what type of income they are looking for, and the numbers of people there. The next thing is the service and image compatibility with demographics of the customer drawing area. Next is the competition within that area. The next is how far is the quality of your competition in that particular location. The uniqueness of the firms and the competitors locations. Physical qualities of facilities and neighboring businesses. Operating policies of the firm and the quality of management. So realistic analysis of these factors can actually provide a reasonable pictures of the revenue expected. So the technique used in this service sector will include a regression analysis, location of traffic counts, demographic analysis, and geographic information system. Yeah. So let's look at table the next following tables. So this is basically a summary of location strategy for both service and goods lah. So we can see that for services there are the revenue focus, where the volume we're looking into what we have discussed earlier. The physical quality, we're talking about the parking access for your customer. The security, lighting, appearance, image, and the cost determinants will include your rent of your facilities, the management caliber, and operation policies. So while for goods product, we're talking about the cost which is tangible, for example, the transportation cost of raw materials, shipment cost of finished goods, energy and utility costs, labor, raw materials, taxes, and so on. And the intangible, or what we cannot see, and the future costs include the attitude toward the union, quality of life, education expenditure by state, quality of state and local government. So these are the techniques which you can use for location strategies between service and good producing organization. So for example, service you can use regression model to determine importance of various factors, while for good producing techniques included the transportation methods, factor rating, locational cost, and crossover charts. So assumptions that location is for service that location is a major determinant of revenue. Higher customer contact issues are critical. Costs are relatively constant for a given area, and therefore the revenue function is much more critical. While assumption for goods producing is that location is the major determinant for your cost, and the most major costs can be identified explicitly for each different site. And low customer contact allows focus on the identifiable causes. Intangible causes can actually be evaluated. So how a hotel chains select sites. So location is strategically important decision in the hospitality industry. For example, like the given example is the hospital which is known as La Quinta, which have started with 35 independent variables and work to refine a regression model to predict the profitability, and final model had only four variables, which is price of the hotel, the median income levels, state population per inn, and location of nearby colleges. So based on the regression, which is 0.51 or 51% of the profitability is actually predicted by just these four variables. Okay, next is the use of the graphic information system. So this is basically an important tool to help apa ni, decision maker for their location analysis. So this is actually you enables a much more complex demographic analysis, and the available database include the census data, detailed maps, utilities, geographic features, and location of major services. So this is the figure of the example of GIS usage. So we can see here some of the geographic database in the GIS is include the color of different places. So this is actually the example by the a restaurant known as Darden. So Darden restaurant, they identify markets by income, the ethnicity, product use, age, and etc. So from here, where the company use target info, there are three concentric blue rings, so each representing various mile radius, while were drawn around the competitor's store, and the heavy red line indicates that the drive time to the firm-owned central store, which is the represented by the red dot. So that's just for the location analysis. So with that, if you have any question or further discussion you would like to raise, please do so in our next meetings. And also, please do check out my link of our, as usual, our quiz and some of tasks that you need to do. Alright, so till then, see you guys later on. Bye bye. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.